It's time to remember the miracle of Ajax.
It's something we've not seen in a Tottenham side for the last few years.
There's so much work to do for Tottenham now. Ajax 2, Tottenham 0.
I didn't think Spurs were capable of doing that second half.
Mora is in, Mora scores. That's one back for Tottenham.
I don't know what was the speech of Pochettino at halftime, but it was something really, really special.
Might yet come in from Lucas Moura, the goalkeeper is down there. On a scramble, Moura scores. And the whole complexion of the tie's changed.
This Champions League this season has just been the gift that keeps on giving.
The man is a genius.
Oh, Lucas Moura! He's done it! He has done it! He's won it! Lucas Moura's got a hat-trick! Tottenham have done it!
To get to a final is an unbelievable feeling for myself and the team.
This is why Pochettino, I think, is a great manager.
I think they are superheroes.
To come back from 3 goals down to go through was, one of probably the best night I've had in my club career.
I don't have words to explain this moment, this feeling. For sure, is the best moment in my career.
Football is the greatest game, and this is the reason why.
Right. Famous night in Ajax. Then it was a year ago today as we remember this. Oh, and I'll tell you, we're going to have a special show this evening from 8 p.m. to relive one of English football's finest moments in Europe. Delighted to say that Chris Cowlin joins us, Tottenham superfan and YouTuber. He was there that day. Chris, whilst obviously it didn't go on to have the result you wanted in the final, surely still fantastic memories from that night in Amsterdam.
It was absolutely fantastic. If someone had wrote that script, I think everyone would have said it would have been far-fetched. That was one of the best days of my life, certainly supporting Spurs. It just went through every single emotion in that match. And when you think after 35 minutes in Ajax, Spurs were 2-0 down, 3-0 down on aggregate, no one thought that would happen. And Lucas Moura just struck 1, 2, 3. It was just an incredible moment that every single Spurs fan in the world will know who they were with, where they were when that last goal went in. It was just incredible scenes.
So, what were your your feelings going into that game? You're coming off the performance that you'd had at home, the kind of. I think a lot of people thought that this was going to be an Ajax team who, with that young squad that, as it proved, were only going to be together for a season or two. It felt like they were kind of the ones who were destined in this competition, just the way they got through the previous stages, the way they performed there. Were you optimistic when you got on the plane?
Absolutely. I think you've got to be. I think whenever I go to any home or away game, I like to think that Tottenham are going to get a result out of it. Yes, it was always going to be a very, very difficult game. Ajax had a very good team, played very well, and as I said, after 35 minutes of the second game, of the away game, when a team is 3-0 up on aggregate in a semi-final, a lot of us thought that we were dead and buried, and that's what makes it so special. That's what makes the memory so special, in the fact that at half-time, most of the Ajax, if not all of the Ajax fans, the legends, everyone at that match and watching around the world thought Ajax had it in the bag. And that's what makes it so, so special, the fact that we come back. It's like Roy of the Rovers stuff. Who would have ever thought that Tottenham would have come back, and the way that we did it, it was just incredible scenes. I couldn't even speak after that match. I woke up during the night thinking that I dreamt it. I just don't think that I'll ever see anything like it again. Tottenham fans have enjoyed some good moments in their lifetime, but this one was just extra, extra special.
For you, from a Tottenham perspective, when people kind of cite the perceived lack of success over the past kind of 10, 15, 20 years, is there a little bit of bittersweetness with nights like that where you can see the heights that the club can reach and that maybe that you haven't got over the line in winning a competition which still so many hold over you?
I'll be completely honest, it is very frustrating, the lack of trophies at Tottenham. We all want trophies. We all, we all desperately hope that they will come very soon. But it's just the way that the direction of the club now. Will we spend money? Of course, with COVID-19 as well, it's going to be even more difficult. But when you have moments, as any football fan, of living something like the Ajax night, you want to feel it again. And that's why Champions League football, the best football in European competition, that is why it's so important to a club like Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. So when you taste something like that, you just want it all the time. So hopefully it will come. Hopefully in the near future, the trophies will come. They have to, because our last trophy was the League Cup in 2008. It's far, far too long. Last FA Cup, 91, far too long. Last European trophy, 84. And you have to go back 59 years for our last league championship victory. It's just far too long for a club like us. But with a manager now like Jose Mourinho, with the stadium, with the facilities, with some of the players we've got, let's hope that it does happen very, very soon.
And everything with COVID-19 is obviously it's not good timing for anyone in sport or anyone in business or the world. It is, a difficult time for everyone to live through. But, I'd spent quite a bit of time, and I'm not a Spurs fan, but I'd spent quite a bit of time almost kind of defending why it could work for Spurs in the new stadium, because it's not like when Arsenal moved. The TV money now is far more in excess of what it was then. You can almost afford to be paying off those kind of loans and still spending money on wages and on players as well. So the timing specifically horrendous for Tottenham. What does it make you feel about the Jose Mourinho project going forward, and kind of resetting your thoughts on the timeline for maybe bringing that first trophy to the club?
Well, I think it's a real big test for Jose Mourinho now, because he's been very used to going to, all of his previous clubs, spending big, spending money, whatever he wants, getting all of the players in what he wants. It's going to be a real test for him now. Lots of media reports are stating that it's going to be loan players, free transfers. So he's going to have to go out and use his name and use his experience now to get the players that we desperately need. But the frustrating thing is, if we go a year ago, after that Ajax game, we were so close in getting great success. It was a surprise to me that we let Mauricio Pochettino go, particularly what he achieved at the club year in, year out. But we do now have to look forward, and we do have to hope that we have brought Jose Mourinho in to win us a trophy, because let's face it, he's won every trophy in the land.
What, from your perspective, again, when you look at that team there and you look at the improvements that were made this past summer, the players that were brought in when Poch was still there, and what the squad needs to do going forwards, if there is any kind of transfer window, if there is anything like a resemblance of a normal pre-season this year, what do you think Tottenham do need to do to in any way compete?
Definitely the two areas where we really do need to improve, and that is a backup striker to Harry Kane. When Harry Kane and Heung-min Son were both out, we really, really did struggle. Even though the likes of Lucas Moura on the pitch, we just struggled for an out-and-out striker. That is an absolute must. And we have conceded far too many goals this season. Very few clean sheets under Pochettino and Jose Mourinho. So the defence does need shoring up. That is an absolute cert that does need to be done. Jose Mourinho, where he's won trophies at every club he's been at, he's had a very, very good defensive record. So that is something he does need to put right straight away.
And from a league perspective, obviously, we're talking about a time now where, behind closed doors is a certainty, where neutral venues is very much on the table and being discussed. About the prospect of the Premier League returning, even though you'll be watching it from your living room instead of from your season ticket seat or from an away stand.
Well, I think the ultimate thing is that football needs to be played when it's safe. When it's safe to do so. And a couple of the other European countries have cancelled their leagues. I think it would be a shame if football does return and it will be without the fans, because the fans need to be there. They really, really do. The thought of me watching Spurs on the TV with them playing in a very small stadium or a small venue with no fans there. We've got to play Arsenal, the North London derby, without any fans there. It would just feel so weird.
Yeah, undoubtedly, but at the same time, like you say, safety has to be the thing that rules out, and at least we'd have some football in our life at that point.
Absolutely. We all look forward to football. It seems like a lifetime ago since we've seen our teams kick a football, and, we will all look forward to it when it does happen.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Well, look, we really appreciate your time, Chris. Thank you for taking the time out to speak with us. That's Chris Cowlin, Tottenham superfan and YouTuber, joining us on the social. And from 8 p.m. this evening, you can relive one of English football's finest moments in Europe. Tottenham's stunning semi-final second leg comeback against Ajax on the road. It's exactly a year ago today that they scored those 3 second-half goals to overturn the 3-goal deficit en route to reaching the Champions League final. To celebrate the occasion, a host of former Spurs stars joined talkSPORT2 to take a look back on the win and discuss everything since. Don't miss Champions League Classic Spurs against Ajax 2019 on talkSPORT2 from 8 p.m. today. You're listening to The Social on talkSPORT2. Rob Harris joins us next on the IFAB rulings that 5 substitutes are going to be okay, and on the VA...